This is the news at 7 on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Lami Ali, and Taiwo Osoma is the sign language interpreter. Let's now take the leading stories. African Union meets a meeting ends in Accra, Ghana, with President Bola Tinubu presenting ECOWAS report on efforts being made to curb insecurity in the West Africa sub-region. Nigeria and United Kingdom partner to contain threats orchestrated through the aviation sector. Also on the news, as the U.S. elections gradually draw close with Biden out of the race, Kamala Harris has begun to receive support from party stalwarts. Thank you for joining us once again. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria presented the African report on efforts being taken by the economic community of West Africa to curb insecurity in the region. This comes as the midterm meeting of the African Union concludes in Ghana. Musa Baba Aliu brings us the story.
President Bola Tinubu was at the African Union midterm meeting for two reasons. First, to represent Nigeria as the president, and the second, to represent the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, which he chairs. President Tinubu addressed the African leaders on the status of ECOWAS, mentioning that the community has activated a standby force to counter any form of terrorism threat and will continue to explore funding options for the purpose. The Nigerian leader stated that ECOWAS has been supporting member states to enhance electoral and governance processes, and that recently the body has deployed election observation missions to Senegal and Togo. Both elections, he said, were considered peaceful, transparent, and fair. He also highlighted the facilitation of the signing of an agreement of national unity in Sierra Leone, pointing out that the sub-regional body will continue to work with stakeholders in the country to implement provisions of the agreements.
Engagement with Guinea continues. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria have announced their intention to leave ECOWAS. We will continue to engage these three countries with the view to maintaining unity over our region.
Regarding economic integration, President Tinubu mentioned that ECOWAS has implemented activities to consolidate the free trade area, customs union, and common markets. At the end of the meeting, the president of Mauritania, who is the chairman of the African Union, stated that it was agreed that AU Commission, AFDB, and the UN Commission for Africa should play their roles in meeting the demands of the continent.
The declaration also reflects our will that we want to speak with one voice, the voice of Africa. And this strengthens further our position in the different international fora and meetings. We are resolved to continue our advocacy to bring the political partners, political, technical, and financial partners for mobilizing the resources for the second 10-year implementation plan of Agenda 2063, whose implementation is a guarantee for the success of the continental program.
Member nations have also been encouraged to meet their obligations to the African Union. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
World leaders have been expressing their thoughts on U.S. President Joe Biden's decision not to run in the next presidential election as they bid him farewell. From a Pioneer reports that a growing number of senior Democrat politicians and party backers are supporting Kamala Harris to be the party's presidential candidate following her endorsements by President Joe Biden as he quits from the race.
While reacting to Biden's withdrawal, U.S. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he believes the president's decision to quit the election race is in the best interest of the American people.
I respect the decision that he has now made. Not an easy decision, but a decision that I know that he will have arrived at, taking into account the best interests of the American people, and I look forward to working with him for the remainder of his presidency.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez wrote on X, "All my admiration and recognition for the brave and dignified decision of President Joe Biden. Thanks to its determination and leadership, the U.S. overcame the economic crisis after the pandemic and the serious assault on the Capitol and has been exemplary in its support for Ukraine in the face of Putin's Russian aggression," he added. A great gesture from the great president who has always fought for democracy and freedom, Sanchez noted. Simon Harris, the Prime Minister of Ireland, posted a written statement on X thanking Biden for his global leadership and friendship, mentioning that the world has changed since the time Biden took the Oval Office. Harris said the U.S. president has been a voice for reason, effective multilateralism, and shared solutions. Joe Biden, in all the offices he has held, has always been an unwavering voice and passionate worker for peace on the island of Ireland, and our country owes him a great debt for this, he stressed. Harris further wished the Biden couple and their family success, adding, "I look forward to working with you for the remainder of your presidency." Separately, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk called on Biden on X, "You've taken many difficult decisions, thanks to which Poland, America, and the world are safer and democracy stronger. I know you were driven by the same motivations when announcing your final decision, probably the most difficult one in your life," he added. Petr Fiala, the Prime Minister of Czech Republic, also wrote on X, "It is undoubtedly the decision of a statesman who has served his country for decades. It is a responsible and personally difficult step, but it is all the more valuable," he said, noting, "I am keeping my fingers crossed for the USA that a good president emerges from the democratic competition of two strong and equal candidates." Meanwhile, the EU foreign ministers also react to U.S. President Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential race in the upcoming U.S. elections.
I know that President Biden has decided to step down. I wish the best for the Democratic appointee, the one who will take his place.
Yes, say that Biden did a great job for many, many years. It was a courageous decision, and I wish all the best to maybe Kamala Harris, who will take the lead now for the Democrats. It's a woman, it's a strong woman, and I wish her all the best. Thank you.
Frama Pani, NTA News.
U.S. President Joe Biden says he is endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee for the 2024 elections after he dropped out of the race. Kamala Harris, his vice, is the first female to become Vice President of America. From Apangi brings us the profile of a lady who may become the first female president of the United States.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Harris was born on October 20, 1964 in Oakland, California, to immigrants to the United States, her father Jamaican and mother an Indian, whom have in some ways embodied the American dream. Kamala Harris has crashed through one of the world's highest glass ceilings to be elected America's first woman vice president, making history. Harris came into office as California's first black attorney general and the first woman of South Asian heritage elected to the U.S. Senate. With President Biden serving only a single term, he has endorsed Harris as the next presidential candidate under the Democratic Party. That could give her another shot at making more history as the first female president of the United States if she wins at the November polls.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history.
Since being tapped as Biden's running mate in August, she has slammed Trump on his chaotic handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, racism, the economy, and also the president's crackdown on immigration. Her diploma from historical Black Howard University in Washington was the start of a steady rise that took her from prosecutor to 2 elected terms as San Francisco's district attorney and then California's attorney general in 2010. However, Harris's self-description as a progressive prosecutor has been criticized. Veteran campaigner Harris radiates charisma and prosecutorial persona of relentless interrogation and cutting retorts. Frama Pani, NTA.
Political decisions taken this year will determine whether a target to end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030 can be reached. The United Nations said on Monday figures from 2023 show a drop in new infections and fatalities and improvement in access to treatment for HIV-positive patients. But while those figures look positive, the UN AIDS agency warns that the progress remained fragile. Decisions leaders make this year will determine whether or not countries can achieve the 2030 target of ending AIDS as a public health threat and ensure progress beyond 2030, the report said. In the over 4 decades since the AIDS epidemic burst onto the global scene, it has killed more than 42 million people, while AIDS-related deaths have been steadily declining, falling from 670,000 in 2022 to 630,000 last year. The number still remains dizzyingly high. Nearly 40 million people live with HIV, the virus that can cause AIDS, the report said. Around 1.3 million new infections were recorded last year, a decline of 100,000 compared to 2022, and a dramatic 60% fall since a peak of 3.3 million in 1995. But the long-term trend is still a way off track to hit the UN AIDS target of just 330,000 new infections in 2025. Access to antiretroviral medication has also greatly improved, but remains a major issue. Last year, a full 30.7 million people received such treatments compared to just 7.7 million in 2010. But it remains unlikely the world will manage to hit a target of reaching 34 million by next year. She urged U.S. pharmaceutical giant Gilead to make history by allowing generic manufacturing of its new antiretroviral medication, lenacapavir, which requires just 2 injections a year. Israelis in Tel Aviv commend Biden as friend of Jewish people after election withdrawal. People are still reacting to Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential race. Let's now hear from some Israelis in Tel Aviv as they speak on President Biden as he quits the presidential race. The African Group, as the World Trade Organization, has presented a proposal as the WTO General Council. The proposal is for member countries to consider Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to run for a second term as Director General of the organization, as well as Chair of the General Council. The group noted that the process of the appointment of the Director General should commence as soon as possible. As the General Council meeting, members' debate centered on all the efforts and qualities of the DG alongside her contributions to the organization that enhanced a lot of progress and development, affirming that she deserves to be reappointed as the Director General for a second term. About 58 members at the meeting represented their regions in the push for Okonjo-Iweala's second term, with the conclusion that the General Chair should commence consultations on the process of her reappointment. Now, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called for constitutional amendments with key provisions that support the enforcement of existing and new laws on gender parity in the ECOWAS sub-region. She was speaking at the ECOWAS Parliament 2024 first ordinary session, where the spotlight is once again on promoting women's proportional representation in government, acknowledging the poor gender barometer in the sub-region despite steps taken to draw more women into the governance space. The First Lady says the journey towards realizing 30% representation in the Parliament is achievable. Here is the report.
The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development identifies full and effective participation of women in governance and decision-making as a key goal, taking cognizance of their capacity. However, the gender parity barometer is still poor and a far cry from the yearnings of women in sub-Saharan Africa, a reality that the ECOWAS Parliament acknowledges and seeks to address at the 2024 First Ordinary Session by building necessary solidarity.
I want to seize this opportunity to call on you, Madam First Lady, so that you can be our spokesperson with the head of state and other of your colleagues who are First Ladies for the necessary changes that we hope we will have in our laws and constitutions.
This is her first attendance at the ECOWAS Parliament since becoming Nigeria's First Lady. But for Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the subject matter of gender parity is not a new battle. Addressing participants, the First Lady says functional girl-child education and improved quota in favor of women are required to dismantle social, cultural, and structural barriers standing in the way of women participation in the sub-region.
Additionally, raising awareness about the importance of women's representation in governance is crucial. Public campaigns, media engagements, and community programs can help shift societal attitudes. Government must put in place robust mechanisms to ensure compliance with gender quotas. These include legal frameworks and monitoring systems that hold political parties accountable.
We must recognize that achieving gender parity is not solely the responsibility of women. It demands the unwavering support of men.
Away from the session, the First Lady could not resist the urge to pay a brief visit to her old office at the newly renovated Red Chamber of the National Assembly. From the National Assembly, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
We take a break now. The news continues in just a moment. Do stay tuned.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV.
You're welcome back. Given the advancements in the global aviation industry and the dynamics associated with security threats, Nigeria and the British government are developing strategies to tackle the challenges. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was at a capacity enhancement program for personnel in the aviation industry and security industry.
It is more than 22 years since the September 11 attack, following a terrorist plane hijack, but the sad memories still rekindle with lessons. These aviation experts and security officers are the Countermand Portable Air Defense System Engagement, organized by the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor, are developing strategies to mitigate evolving aviation security threats.
There is no doubt that terrorism has profound negative impact on the nation. The use of unmanned aerial vehicles by terrorists and other criminal elements to disrupt the country's socio-economic activities is of serious concern and must be adequately tackled through continuous collaboration by aviation security stakeholders.
To the UK aviation security expert, Nigeria needs to upscale airport patrol and security.
I would expect the Nigerian agencies to further develop their MANPADS capability, the counter MANPADS capability, particularly when it comes to patrolling and mapping vulnerable areas of the airport.
The platform stressed the need for interagency and cross-border collaboration to mitigate emerging aviation security challenges. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Now, a team led by the Director General of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, Alex Bade, is visiting Yola Airport for an investigation involving Max Air Boeing 737, which had a burst tire on Sunday evening, 21st July 2024. The aircraft, carrying 119 passengers and 6 crew members, was cleared for takeoff from Yola Airport, en route to Abuja. During the takeoff roll, a loud bang was heard, identified as the bursting of the rear gear tires while attempting to clear off runway. The remaining 2 tires also burst, rendering the aircraft completely disabled. NSIB confirms in a statement by the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Bimbo Olaomi Oladeji, that no injuries were reported as the situation was brought under control. The Director of Public Relations further stated that NSIB is conducting an investigation in the incident and the report will be out soon. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointments of Professor John Oladapo Obafunwa as the new Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. Professor Obafunwa succeeds Professor Babatunde Salako, whose tenure expires on the 23rd of July 2024. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, the appointment takes effect from July 24th. President Tinubu, however, extends his gratitude to Professor Salako for his service to the nation. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has approved the appointment of 8 assistant co-marshals to the rank of deputy co-marshals, while 3 of the DCMs are to proceed on immediate retirement. The remaining 5 are to fill up existing vacancies in the South-South, South-East, South-West, North-Central and North-West geopolitical zones. The 3 promoted officers to proceed on immediate retirement are Deputy Co-Marshal Kingsley Agomo, Deputy Co-Marshal Zubairu Mato, as well as Deputy Co-Marshal Jonas Agu. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation expresses delight over the level of transparency and objectivity that heralded the whole process and urged the appointed officers to show more commitment and rededicate themselves to achieving the corporate vision of the Corps. While congratulating the newly promoted officers, the Co-Marshal, Shehu Mohammed, charged them to put in their best in the course of their duties as the new rank calls for more focus, more dedication, commitment, and passion. Addressing multifaceted global challenges can be achieved through the collaboration of interdisciplinary bodies. This is the thrust of the training organized for diplomats and legal practitioners by the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies and the International Law Association, geared towards understanding the direction of Nigeria's international relations. Judiciary correspondent Osin Ayebe has the story.
There are diverse global challenges ranging from interborder conflicts, wars, and climate change, among others, requiring the sharpening of skills of professionals in international law and diplomacy, as well as methodologies to serve as voice for Nigeria and Africa in diplomatic relations. This explains the participation of legal practitioners from ECOWAS, Immigration Service, Federal Ministry of Justice, the National Human Rights Commission, diplomats, National Judicial Council, among others, to enhance their knowledge of international law and diplomacy to become solutions to some of the global challenges.
The reality on ground is that we have diplomats on the one hand, and then we have lawyers on the other hand, and so they are bringing actually different perspectives and skills to bear in addressing contemporary global issues and challenges facing humanity.
Over the years, we see our practitioners having to travel all the way to Geneva, to Hague, to learn about international law, which at times misses the African voice and perspective. So we thought there's a need to bridge that gap by bringing the training here home.
Some Nigerians who have served on foreign missions say the week-long training will throw up issues that might be root causes of conflict.
Attaining proficiency in law and diplomatic practice and theory by our officials and academics will make for a better society that is grounded on useful knowledge and practical application of the precepts of international law and public diplomacy.
Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, which is the committee I sit on, is going to be 45 years this year, and yet no country in the world has achieved equality.
Participants will be presented with advanced certificate in international law after the training in Abuja. Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is reviewing internal security operations in the northwest to effectively combat banditry in the zone. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa is at the ongoing retreat for commanders.
These are past and serving Army field commanders in the northwest evaluating the current security challenges in the zone. There are ongoing operations to curb the security threats, but the increasing activities of bandits necessitated this retreat.
The retreat should serve as a forum for robust deliberation, which must involve analyzing lessons learned and developing implementable recommendations that would brace Nigerian Army's operations and foster collaborations with sister services, other security agencies, and various stakeholders.
The program provides an avenue for tactical level commanders to step away from their normal routines in the theaters of operation and review their past and present performance with a view to reinvigorating future operations.
The military cannot solve the issue completely, but it should provide the enabling environment for other activities to take place. And that's the essence of why we are running the 3-day retreat of past commanders and present ones who are served in the northwest geopolitical zone, for them to come up. What are the issues operationally, logistical-wise, administrative-wise, and then relationship with others, so that we can fine-tune and find a way of improving on what is happening right now.
It also gives credence to operational efficiency to win land battles, while lessons drawn from the engagement will be a compendium to serve as reference material for training. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Next is a peek into Tuesday's weather forecast. That does it on the news at this time on NTA International. We thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali, and Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter.